Um, should my schedules be set up in my project template or created individually?
Considering I just made that comment about ideally the default tags would be set up in your template, I would say it depends. Um, and the reason I say it depends is the way that I look at this is I kind of always put a um, 80-20 rule to a lot of the things with when trying to determine what am I going to put inside of my template, right? We're speaking ideal kind of world here. And ideally what you would look at is for 80% of the projects that we create, there's generally about 20% of all of our content that we use on those projects, right? And if you look at it that way, you can really start to look at your schedules that you put on every single project and kind of categorize those and say, hey, we use these schedules on 80% of our projects, and then you can start to refine that as you continue to work on your template. So that's true of all content, not necessarily just schedules. That being said, what I would do is I would look at what product type you have, what schedules you have within your construction set, your design set, or whatever it is that you're building your template for, and have that discussion internally. Figure out which schedules are going to be necessary to build out that documentation, and put those schedules in there. Um, And then once you figure that out, of course, have some committee within your firm go through and say, okay, yes, we use these often. No, we don't use these often, and things like that. But I think it's also important to teach your people how to create schedules. That way, not only are they manipulating the ones that you've created in your template, but they're able to add that latter 20% or that latter 80% of the schedules that just kind of random per project to your project. So in your template, for the most part, with an understanding of how to create schedules.
It's a great point, Jeff. And I'd add that that part about being able to modify schedules that are in your template is crucial, because I wholeheartedly agree with you. If it's something that you're going to reuse, put it back in your excuse me, project template so that you can reuse it. But that doesn't mean it has to be finalized. If you can create some sort of generic starting point of a schedule that can be adaptable and reusable in specific projects, that's worth putting into your project template as well. I'll share my screen again here. I've got a good example of one here in this plumbing model. If I've got a schedule that is just a generic pipe cut list like I've created here, certain projects I might be responsible for drawing the domestic, the sanitary, some of the more general plumbing scopes. Other projects I might have to draw the mechanical piping or other process piping. I don't necessarily know yet what exact pipe cut list I'm going to have to produce, but I can at least have this generic one, which is quantifying every single individual pipe straight and its cut length in the model. But the way it's organized by pipe type or material and discipline or service that it's being used for, as well as size in each specific project, I can use my filters and my sorting to make this more specific to something like this sanitary and storm pipe cut list that is isolating per floor in this particular model, and by pipe type exactly which cut lengths I'll need to have to fabricate for this specific job. So just to add on to your point, Jeff, even if you can get a good starting point, that's worth putting into your project template to save yourself the bulk of that work and enable your users to be able to modify the filters and sorting thereafter to achieve the deliverable they may need.
Right. It's good worth mentioning also for those of you, if you start out with that, a lot of that data may not be populated, but the fields and the formatting will be there for you in your template. But once you apply that, once you add the elements to your project or start your project, then that schedule will be populated as Brian displayed.